I feel like I'm pronouncing that wrong. Chandler.
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 Chandelier.
Chandelier.
Sean White.
Anyway, he's like...
I think it's Sean White. Proper.
So he's kind of pitched at like the jokey guy, but he's got this undercurrent of like, I'm also gonna like kind of try to start with something with a teacher, and amazingly she goes with it.
Yeah, he's got some sort of like braggadocio that
yes. I mean, look, I like Pacey. He's probably my...
I'll be the first to say it.
He's probably my favorite character.
Yeah.
He's definitely the most... He goes through the most transformation so far in the show. I mean, this... You could say that we're talking about spoilers, but like, I don't think we should really care about that personally. That just annoys me.
I think it's been out for like 20 years, so...
But there may be that one person out there, though, guys, that may just reach.
I really wanted to listen to these particular people not spoil the show. But the point is that, like, Matthew, this whole, affair with the teacher thing is over before season 1 is even over. It's 6 episodes, and there's
almost no consequences, really.
Not for Pacey. For the teacher, yes, she has to leave. She has to skip town, and like obviously she's not a teacher anymore.
It's no like, there's no legal ramifications. I mean, that's the worst she gets is like, oh, you did something kind of shameful, so obviously you should keep your head down and get out of the town.
Right.
And she didn't really have major roots there or anything. It's not like she had a husband who she had cheated on or kids that she disappointed or something like that. Like, really, everybody kind of makes it out like, scot-free.
Are you a lost spirit in this world, haunting the dining room of a third-rate Red Lobster and need a place to rest your weary soul? If you are, all the other restaurants are booked or closed because of COVID.
They're all booked.
Oh, that's a stretch.
Is it?
So the ice house is for you.
Okay, that's a stretch.
So I wrote a bingo card. So before when they suggested that we watch this show, I read the first sentence on Wikipedia because I've heard of the show before. I know like its pop culture significance, but I didn't know anything about it. So I read like the first sentence on Wikipedia, and then I came up with a bingo card for things that I think would happen in a show like this. And one of the big like high school tropes is like, and maybe this happened in season 1 that I don't know about, but there's like the stuff with the jock and like the nerd dynamic. And at least as far as I've seen in almost 2 seasons, well, in the 1 season I've seen, there isn't at least that dynamic. Like it's a lot of like maybe some of the drama folks you'd run into in high school, but like there's like a large population of high school that I don't think this show like totally gets into, but unless there's something I missed in season 1.
No, it doesn't. There's not that many cliches, I will say. There are a few cliche characters, but they're not like big parts of the show.
It feels like what it was trying to do was not explore cliches, but push the boundaries of like teen content. Like, we can take teens seriously and things that are happening in their lives, and it feels like a soap opera, but with teenagers.
It always makes you wonder about like the people who write it, because like you almost feel like they get like a focus, like one of those 2-way mirrors at like a police station, and they put like like 8 high schoolers behind it and like talk about like life in the universe and stuff, and like there's just like a boardroom of businessmen just writing, like frantically scratching stuff down on notes. Well, I don't know if that's how this show came about.
I don't think it is, Matthew. But actually, before we do
I think
that,
that's exactly it.
Oh well, I've actually done my research just now. I looked on the. It turns out that's exactly what happened. But I think I'm probably gonna cut the first 5 minutes of whatever the hell we were doing beforehand. So before we even introduced what the hell the show was. But so Bridget, can you now introduce the fourth character played by Michelle Pfeiffer?
Yes.
And then I think a little bit of like after you talk about her character, we can kind of like do a little goodbye for this episode, and the next episode we can talk about like the people who made the show and acted in it.
Okay, and then maybe eventually we'll travel into like summary of episodes, like catch up to where we're at.
Maybe, yeah. Well, I'm just interested in like I think we're all sort of more interested. It's hard to keep TV in your head. Like there's so much crap that happens, and it all happens at kind of a snail's pace. So anyway, but I think like just introduce like
Grandma Girl
who does not start as Grandma Girl. She does. That's a beautiful transformation that I actually missed.
See, that's the character development that we're missing in this day and age. Is they took this girl who's supposed to be a sex kitten and turned her into a Grandma Girl.
Sex kitten designated by the show. I'm trying to save you, Bridget. That's not your phrase that you just
that is
leave your personal opinions out of this.
Yeah.
But
we're just giving them the facts. So
but who's the character and what is she?
So this is the character Jennifer, played by Michelle Williams, now known as Michelle Pfeiffer, and I don't know if this is her first role. I don't know how young she got into things, but I think this was like her first breakout, and she kind of became an it girl from this. But her character is the new girl next door. There's just so much subversion in the show. And so we're used to Joey, but what do we do when we have a new girl next door? And she's a big city gal. She doesn't come from Cape Side.
Where's she from, Bridget?
New York.
What does she dress like?
Not a Grandma Girl in season 1.
Does she dress like a biker?
I don't know. I find all of the outfits atrocious for very different reasons. So, but she's supposed to be like a hot girl in town, and the men are very taken with her. I should say, the high school boys are very taken with her, and her hair is like, I guess, fine, and she looks put together and everything. Well, Joey Potter can't stand her and immediately starts tearing her down and basically wants her off the face of the earth. It's a really intense dynamic. And Dawson is attracted to Jennifer. Now, Jennifer lives with her grandmother. Her grandmother is taking her in because Jennifer, even though we don't see really any of the bad decisions that she supposedly comes from because she got kicked out of her home. I don't know if it was her mom or her dad's home. Does anyone remember?
I think it was both her parents. Both her parents just couldn't take it.
Oh, okay. So yeah, they both don't want her then. And then her grandma's like, I'll take her in. Now, her grandma is probably my favorite character. Just for comedic effect, because she's so over the top in her characterization. She's supposed to be small town religious woman, God-fearing folk. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, she's got a very strange accent.
She sounds like Katharine Hepburn. You know, she talks.
Yes.
She talks in this very, very specific way.
Yes.
But only when she's talking about religion. Does she talk like that most of the other times?
And well, most of the time when they have her on screen, that's her thing, is she's supposed to be like the religious mouthpiece, of like, this is this world perspective. And and she always says Jennifer's name like Jennifer.
She does seem like from another time. Not just another generation, like she's obviously older, but just another time in movie making.
Yes, I think she's
the silent film era.
Yes. When she opens her mouth, no words come out. Nothing. It's just a title card pops up, and we all just kind of blink and go, what the hell? And then we move on. But go ahead.
That's what happens every scene with this woman. But I think she is supposed to stand for like the old world and archaic ways of approaching things, and Jennifer is, the new generation, and how are they to get along and interact and tolerate each other.
One thing that really sticks out to me about their first real scene together is like, and the show wants us to take this because it's not a very subtle show. It's very, to be kind, it's very Shakespearean in that people say what they mean.
Yes.
Which is, Jennifer says, "I am an atheist, grandmother." Like, she just says it, And boy, in the last episode we all watched, do we get that in full force?
Man, do we get her fleshed out ideology?
Oh boy. Anyway, she really proves that. And anyway, which is like, that's kind of the new thing coming in. And it's weird because the only time that religion or non-religion is even addressed in the show is in their dynamic.
Yes.
Is in Grandma and who the artist formerly known as Grandma Girl, or soon to be known as Grandma Girl.
Yes.
And I just realized this. None of the other characters, nobody talks about religion. No one goes to church.
Right? I view it like a religious experience. kind of like an exorcism.
I do feel closer to God after watching this show.
or maybe like a really, really embarrassing baptism.
Yeah.
That being said, it is about as much of a cardboard cutout as you can possibly get for like that dynamic.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, it cannot get more bland than what's presented, which is fine because that's not really the point. But
yeah, Dawson's Creek is not trying to get you to deal with nuance. Oh, we need to talk about the theme song at some point.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so I didn't check on this, but my little sister did, and she's probably right. But it was very strange to watch this being streamed because there's this horrendous intro song where it's like, when you hear a song in your dreams, and in your dreams it makes sense, but when you wake up you're like, oh my god, like that would never be a real life thing. That's what this intro song is like.
And we mentioned earlier.
Do you mean that feeling, Bridget, where your heart is in your head and your head is in the clouds or whatever?
Sky clouds.
And it's turning you around?
Yes. On my head, telling me to run like metal.
Can that be the intro to our podcast? We're just singing that.
Yes.
Just you singing.
We'll just record each separate audio recording and just off tempo of that.
Yes.
But earlier we were talking about the theme song, and we mentioned that like in the theme song, that's the only like footage where it looks like that they're friends and actually hanging out.
Yes, it's as if they're all going through these motions together.
But I commented, and it may just be more of like the lens or whatever, if they use like a filter on it, but to me the footage looks like a crime scene. I think it's like missing children like footage.
Yeah.
It does have that.
Like, the local...
It does have that aesthetic of like in Unsolved Mysteries when they would reenact something at a very like fuzzy slow motion kind of way. It's like, and that is when they disappeared forever.
They never made it to the wedding.
If this fails as a Dawson's Creek podcast, we can always turn this into a true crime podcast.
Yeah, that's fine.
Then it can fail as a true crime podcast.
Because that's not an oversaturated market at this point.
It can just be us three misremembering details about certain unsolved murders.
Yeah, no, I think he worked in the barber shop.
Yeah, I thought they caught him. Did they ever catch him?
See, I was pretty sure that they did and they didn't.
Okay.
Oh, back to the intro song of this show. I never got to the point of citing my sister for this. We couldn't figure out, because we remember Dawson's Creek as having that, I don't want to wait for life. And so we we were wondering, like, when does that happen? And I thought, oh, maybe this is like a first season kink